Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel EduTap. I am Arshdeep Kaur, and as you already know that SEBI Grade A Legal exam notification is out. We have been doing the security laws, and today we will be starting with the SEBI Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Relating to Securities Market Regulations 2003. I have already mentioned this that the security laws are very important. They carry 40% weightage. I am repeating this again and again. Please start preparing for the security laws for the phase 2 from now only. If you say that you will start preparing for it after the completion of the phase 1 examination, then it is not going to be possible. So you need to prepare for both the phases from now only. The both are equally important right now. Before I start, I would like to tell you that EduTap is coming up with test series for both the phases, phase 1 and phase 2. It will include chapter-wise tests, sectional tests and full-length tests. It will be very helpful for you to prepare for the examination and for the revision as well. Also, we are coming up with a live crash course for both the phases of this examination, phase 1 and phase 2. It will include live classes. It will have 60 plus live sessions. Test series that I've mentioned earlier, that is included in this live crash course, and it will also provide you one-on-one mentor support. It will be a huge help for your preparation. To avail the offer, check the link in the description below. Let's begin. Question number 1. Dealing in securities includes which of the following as per Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Regulation 2003? Act of buying, selling or subscribing to securities, transacting in any way in any security by any person as principal, agent or intermediary, agreeing to buy, sell or subscribe to securities, or all of the above. Before I tell you the answer, what is subscribing? When an investor subscribes to a securities, it means that the investor has agreed to purchase those securities even before they have officially been issued, right? So the answer to this question is option D, all of the above. If we read the definition of dealing in securities, dealing in security includes an act of buying, selling or subscribing pursuant to any issue of any security. So pursuant to any issue of any security, buying, selling or subscribing, or agreeing to buy, sell or subscribe to any issue, or he agrees to buy, sell or subscribe to any issue of any security, or otherwise that he is transacting in any way in any security by any person as either he is a principal, an agent or an intermediary referred to in section 12 of the act, right? So that means all of the above is the right answer. An act of buying, selling or subscribing to securities, this is mentioned. Transacting in any way in any security by any person as principal, agent or intermediary, agreeing to buy, sell or subscribe to securities, option D. Next question, question number 2. Which of the following is not prohibited under the Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Regulations 2003? Mis-selling of mutual funds, an intermediary buying or selling securities in advance of a substantial client order, an intermediary predating or otherwise falsifying records such as contract note, person predicting the price trends in securities market to that he can sell his securities when price is high, or none of the above. It is very much clear from the options that the answer is option number D. Person predicting the price trends in securities market so that he can sell his securities when prices are high. This is not prohibited. This cannot be prohibited, right? Section 4 deals with the prohibition of manipulative, fraudulent and unfair trade practices. If we go through this, without prejudice to the provisions of the Regulation 3, no person shall indulge in a manipulative, fraudulent or an unfair trade practice in the securities market. So no one shall indulge in manipulative, fraudulent or unfair trade practices in securities market. Dealing in securities shall be deemed to be a manipulative, fraudulent or unfair trade practice if it involves any of the following. So when it will be called a manipulative, fraudulent or unfair trade practice? If I have only mentioned those sections which were in the options. You can go through the entire regulation, right? Mis-selling of securities or services relating to securities market, an intermediary buying or selling securities in advance of substantial client order, or whereby a future or option position is taken about an impending transaction in the same or related futures or option contracts. An intermediary predating or otherwise falsifying records, including the contract note, client instructions, balance of security statement, client account statements. So if he is falsifying these records, right? And the D was a person predicting. So yes, a person can predict the price of the security. So the answer was option D, right? A person predicting the price trends in securities market so that he can sell his securities when prices are high. Question number 3. The Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices 2003 came into effect on which date? So we have to tell the date. So the date is 17th July 2003. The Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices 2003 came into effect on 17th July 2003. July 17th, 2003. Question number 4. Regulation 9 of Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Regulation 2003 states, interim report can be submitted to the stock exchange if it is in the interest of the investors. Final investigation report must be submitted to the appointing authority. Both, none. The answer is both. Both of these are correct with relation to the Regulation 9. Let's read it. Section 9 of the Act deals with the submission of the reports to the board. The investigating authority shall, on completion of the investigation, after taking into account all the relevant facts, submit a report to the appointing authority, provided that the investigating authority may submit an interim report. They can submit an interim report pending investigation if he considers necessary in the interest of investors and the securities market. If it is in the interest of the investors and the securities market, right? Or as directed by the appointing authority, or if directed by the appointing authority, then they can submit the interim report. So the answer was option C. Both of these statements were correct. Question number 5. Which of the following regulation of Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Regulation 2003 deals with the definition of fraud? So where is the definition of fraud given? It is given in Regulation 2C, right? Answer is option B. The definition of fraud is given in Regulation 2(1)(c). Question number 6. Regulation of Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practices Regulations 2003 gives certain examples of prohibited fraudulent dealings in securities market. Identify the wrong example of fraudulent dealings. Knowingly indulging in an act which creates false or misleading appearance of trading in the securities market. Dealing in a security not intended to effect transfer of beneficial ownership but intended to operate only as a device to inflate, depress or cause fluctuations in the price of such security for wrongful gain or avoidance of loss. Knowingly planting false or misleading news which may induce sale or purchase of securities. Advancing money to a person to buy security in any issue with the intention of starting trading in the securities market. Selling, dealing or pledging of stolen or counterfeit security, whether in physical or demutualized form. So this also is quite simple. As you can read, it's very easy. Advancing money to a person to buy security in any issue with the intention to start trading in securities market. So trading is not a fraudulent dealing. So the answer is option D. Trading in security market, not a fraudulent dealing. Advancing money to a person to buy security in any issue with the intention of starting trading in securities market is not a fraudulent activity. The rest, all of them are fraudulent activities. Let's just go through it once again because these are the examples that have been mentioned. So, knowingly indulging in an act which creates false or misleading appearance of trading in the securities market, right? This is a fraudulent activity. dealing in a security not intended to effect transfer of beneficial owner but intended to operate only as a device. So they are only dealing in the securities with the intention to inflate, depress or cause fluctuations in the price of such security for wrongful gain or the avoidance of loss. Knowingly planting false or misleading news which may induce sale or purchase of a security. This is also a fraudulent activity. Selling, dealing or pledging of stolen or counterfeit security, whether in physical or dematerialized form. So these are all the examples of fraudulent activity, but option D was not. It is just trading. Question number 7. Under which chapter of the Prohibition of Unfair Trade Practices Regulation 2013, the details of prohibition of certain activities and unfair trade practices are mentioned? So it is mentioned in what chapter? Chapter number 2. In Chapter 2 of Prohibition of Unfair Trade Practices Regulation 2013, the details of prohibition of certain activities and unfair trade practices are mentioned. Next question, question number 8. If SEBI found an intermediary involved in fraud in the interest of investors, it can take following actions against the intermediary. So if SEBI finds an intermediary that he is involved in a fraud, so what can the SEBI do? The options are: suspend the registration of the intermediary, cancel the registration of the intermediary, issue a notice to find an alternative customer based and leave all the current customers, delist the securities involved in a fraudulent transaction, or A or B, or A and B. The answer is A and B. If we read it, following are the actions that the SEBI can take. SEBI can issue a warning or a censure, suspend the registration of the intermediary, cancel the registration of the intermediary. I have attached the regulation also. Regulation 12. The board may, without prejudice to any action under the securities law or directions or circulars issued thereunder by an order for reasons to be recorded in writing. So they have to record the reasons in writing. In the interest of the investors and the securities market, take the following action against the intermediary. In the interest of the investors and securities market, and after the reasons to be recorded in writing. So what all they can do? They can issue a warning or a censure to the intermediary, suspend the registration of the intermediary, cancel the registration of the intermediary, right? So these are the things that the SEBI can do. Provided that no final order of suspension or cancellation of an intermediary for violation of these regulations shall be passed unless the procedure specified in the regulation applicable to such intermediary under the Securities and Exchange Board of India Intermediaries Regulation 2008 is complied with. Unless the procedure specified has not been met with, they cannot pass the final order, right? Provided that no final order of suspension or cancellation of an intermediary for violation of these regulations shall be passed unless the procedure specified in the regulations applicable to such intermediary under the Securities and Exchange Board of India Intermediaries Regulation 2008 is complied with. Clear? So the answer was option E. They can issue a warning or censure, suspend the registration of such intermediary, cancel the registration of such intermediary. Option E. Now it's time for the bonus question. The question for achievers. This will be your homework. What is front running in context of trading in securities market? Your options are: buying or selling securities ahead of everyone by paying a certain premium, buying or selling securities in advance of a substantial order where you know that substantial order is already being made, buying or selling securities in advance of price breaching the 20 days moving average, or all of the above. So you have to comment the right answer below. That's all for today. I hope this was a helpful session for you. I will see you in the next video. For more such videos, please subscribe to the channel EduTap. Thank you.